So, yesterday I was doing what I always do, working hard on my goals. Then, suddenly I thought, where did it all start? As a matter of fact, what was the first self help book ever written? So, I did what every knowledgeable and hardworking person always does. I googled it. And that led me to a Wikipedia page called Self Help Book. And reading that page gave me an answer that I had never expected in my wildest dreams. So, apparently, self help is not a modern concept. In fact, it dates back to the 1800s, or even earlier if you dig deeper and get into more details. But more importantly, I found the answer to my question. So, the first self help book ever written and published was Self Help. Yeah, Self Help. No, I'm not kidding. The title of the book is Self Help by Samuel Smiles. In fact, that's how the genre of self help books got their name, from this book. So, I knew it was time. I just had to read it. So, I packed my bags, put on my shoes, and left my house to buy the book.
Stay home.
Then, I realized my city is in lockdown, so I came back, took off my shoes, and unpacked my bags. So, what next? I kept thinking and thinking and thinking. Then it came to me, I have a phone. So I took out my phone, opened the Google Playbook app, and searched up the term self-help. And look what I found. Self-help by Samuel Smiles. So I bought the book and here we are today. Okay, it's time to read the book. See, your typical self-help book has around 200 pages or at max 250 pages, but this is an old book. So I assume this will have less pages than your modern books. So I think it's gonna be
Cakewalk for me.
easy work. You know what?
2 hours.
I give this 2 hours. Yes. Plus, don't forget about my extraordinarily great reading speeds. I'm not happy at all. So, having said all that, it's time to start. Let's check out the book. 447 pages. 447. That's like two self help books in one. I can't believe it. I just can't fucking believe it. But you know what they say, never judge a book by its number of pages. So I'm gonna give it a go. And I'm gonna finish this book, not in 2 hours, of course. So, guys, let's get started. Okay. Self-help and response from the originally published. What's up? So, this is me in another t shirt. So, you can guess this is the next day. So, yesterday things did not go as planned. I read a couple of pages and that's it. I got stuck up in some personal work. You know what I mean. So far, I've completed one chapter, around 33 pages. So, not looking good, but we still have 1 or 2 days to go, so this will be done. So I'll keep you guys posted and let's get reading. So, guys, I've just finished reading the book, and here are my immediate thoughts. First of all, let me answer the main question. Was it worth it? I would have to say no. See, despite reading almost 500 pages, I just did not feel like I learned something new or groundbreaking from this book. But the book does have its good moments, which I'll talk about later. Okay, next, let's talk about the differences between this book and your modern self help books. So, first, the language. The language used in this book is very, very dense, which, unless you are a master's in English literature, it might be hard for you to understand and comprehend. So, in comparison to this book, your modern self help book has far simpler language, which almost everyone walking on the street, your regular guy, can understand. Next is a common problem of almost all the self help books out there. See, the author repeats the same point multiple times, and I've already talked about this point in depth in another video, so I'll simply link that video on the card right over here. Next, the book feels a bit dated in a lot of places, which is totally understandable since the book was written almost 170 years ago. So the author gives real life examples of people of his era to prove his point. But in most of the cases, I'm not aware of these people. So a lot of times, what I've had to do was pause the book, Google that person's name, learn about that person, connect to his story, and connect that story to the story that author tells in this book. So this was very time consuming exercise, especially because the book itself was almost 500 pages. So that's a lot of work. But so far, you can notice that all the problems I've stated about this book were more about the era in which the book was released rather than the actual book itself. So that is a good part about even the bad things of this book. Now, let's talk about the good things about the book. First, the book does not skip on facts and real life examples. Unlike a lot of self help books of the early 2000s, this book gives examples of almost all the points it makes. In fact, some would argue that the book gives more examples than necessary. For example, one of the main themes of the book is that the only person who can help you is yourself. So, success is the result of your hard work rather than your circumstance. So, to expand on this, he gives real life examples of a lot of people who go on to reach the position of high importance despite being born in poverty or in dire circumstances. Like Jeremy Taylor, a poet, was once a barber. Brindley, an engineer, was once a common man. Cook, a navigator, was once a common man. Hugh Miller, a geologist, was once a carpenter. Alan Cunningham, a writer, was once a carpenter. In fact, he also talks about Shakespeare in this book, stating that Shakespeare came from humble ranks. In short, he puts a valid effort in proving his points. Another thing that I found interesting in the book is that the author uses a lot of proverbs, but the interesting thing is that these proverbs are very relevant today as well. Like, no pain, no gain, no sweat, no sweet. Diligence is the mother of good luck. So, reading these proverbs were a breath of fresh air in otherwise highly dense work of literature for me. Okay, final point. Should you read this book? If you're someone who is simply looking for a self help book to get started with, then no. This book might be too dense and too complex for you. But if you are someone who has dabbled with a lot of self help books in the past and want to explore new territories, or you just have a fascination for good English literature, then this might be a book for you. Go for it.